Okay, I'm trying to make a video on my 96 Toyota Land Cruiser that I transferred in or converted a 4BT using the original A343F transmission. I was using the original OEM computer to run my transmission for quite some time, and finally decided to jump in with all efforts and do a standalone. So I picked the PCS Powertrain Solutions TCM-2000 module because it has a lot of inputs and outputs I can program to try to make everything function as stock. I've got my computer hooked up. I'm not sure what's going to show here. I guess when I get close you can actually see the inputs and outputs, digital inputs, the outputs gear, and that will correlate to the dash outputs based on how I've got it wired up. So you can see all the dash lights shifting through the gears function as they should. Got the overdrive cancel on and off. We got power on and off. Second gear I don't have wired up based on the fact that I used an old wiring harness that was not meant for this application or even a universal application that would have more inputs and outputs. The connectors has 63 wires to it, or potential inputs and outputs for different functions, and the one I have doesn't necessarily have everything I need, but I'll fix that later. I'll add more wires, add more pins, and more digital outputs to control like the second gear, which is the second gear start or snow mode per se. So if you look at the inputs, you see the current modes down the bottom right, which correlates. Let's see here, let me click it. When I hold the button down you can see digital 9 triggering, and then the snow output triggering on and off. So I'll be able to program that with a digital output going to the light switch specifically, which is a ground. So it'll be a negative output, negative ground output from the computer. And this is the TCM-2000 computer to trigger the dash light, which is why I like this program. All the digital inputs and outputs really help modify and output the original Toyota intent with the programming. So it shifts as it should. You know, I've got some tuning to do. I've got some gear changes that I'm working on before I really get into the major tuning. You can see the screen really helps. I've got my throttle position sensor, 0 to 100, easy to calibrate. I'm using the original Toyota sensor for this, but really any of them could work for this. I only have the trans temperature gauge hooked up right now. I don't have the coolant gauge hooked up. I actually broke that during the engine install, which I just haven't gone back and replaced, but it is wired up. I just don't have the gauge actually functioning. I guess make any comments or any other details. There's a lot of, you can see all the inputs and outputs and trigger levels and calibration tuning, A, B, tow mode, which is going to be the power versus A versus B on the calibration tuning. Functionality that this really brings to making this function like stock once it's all hooked up and calibrated. So I hope this gives you a little more understanding of the TCM-2000 and how I'm using it on my 96 Toyota Land Cruiser, the 4BT Cummins conversion. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.